Everybody, it's D-Swizz Wildcat back at you with another video. Today we're going to start a new series called Do Better, where I take an in-depth look at certain coaching decisions or personnel groupings on the field that really looked god-awful and should have played way better and have the capability to play way better or coach better. We're going to look at 3 or 4 games every week from the past weekend. Hopefully get these out every Monday. Now, before we get into this, please just make sure to take a moment and like, subscribe, and share this channel on all major platforms. Really appreciate it. Helps me out. Let's get into this. First, I want to talk about the South Carolina Gamecocks. Now, their defense looked amazing. It did. I will confess that. It looked great. But Marcus Satterfield, what are you doing? They had 2 touchdowns this entire game. The score looks a little lopsided because they're towards the end of the game. Beamer ball special teams kind of took over and scored 2 touchdowns on blocked punts. But in the beginning of the third quarter, South Carolina was losing this game, and it should have ended 20-14. It was way closer than the final score suggests. Shane Beamer has to unhitch his trailer from Marcus Satterfield. Everybody gave Marcus the benefit of the doubt last year because he had a grad transfer starting. He had 4 different quarterbacks playing, and they still went 7-6. So everybody gave him the benefit of the doubt. But this year, with one of the most talented, you have to admit he is one of the most talented quarterbacks. He doesn't make the best decisions all the time. See the 2 interceptions that he had today. Granted, one of them wasn't his fault. But one of the most talented quarterbacks in Spencer Rattler. There is no reason you should only be able to put up 2 touchdowns against Georgia State. It's absolute ineptitude on the offensive side of the ball. They could hardly run the ball. Their passing attack was average at best. I just don't see a lot going right for them this year. They have the players to be better on offense, and Marcus Satterfield has to do that. This game was way closer than it should have been, and for that, Marcus Satterfield and Shane Beamer do better. Moving on from one Satterfield to the next, Scott Satterfield and his Louisville Cardinals got absolutely mollywopped by a team they usually dominate, the Syracuse Orange. They got dominated by a singular color. Malik Cunningham, touted by some idiots writing journals these days on the internet as a dark horse Heisman favorite. No, it ain't happening. The dude threw 2 picks, lost a fumble, fumbled another one, but it wasn't lost. He was a turnover machine. He didn't look very good on the ground, which that is his calling card, is he's a Lamar Jackson knockoff. So all around, just not good. They got absolutely ran over on defense by the Syracuse Orange quarterback and running back. The quarterback had nearly 90 yards. I guess Louisville is still having flashbacks to Will Levis rushing for 4 touchdowns on him because he got absolutely shook. He was shaking their whole defense every which way he went. Their defense, Louisville's defense, did not look any better. In fact, they were so far behind in this game that they had to pull out a trick play on Syracuse, and it worked. It looked good, and they should have left that wide receiver at quarterback because the very next 4 plays, Malik Cunningham gained 0 yards, and they turned the ball over. So, Scott Satterfield, you have to do better, or your job is on the line. Be surprised if you make it to November at this rate. Do better. Next up, we have LSU's head coach, Brian Kelly. Sometimes I just love the way college football rhymes because I got so many shades of Les Miles last night. And I really believe LSU fans are thinking at this point, we fired Coach O for this? This is the best we could get? I think a lot of people are missing Coach O right now, including me, because he may have still lost the game. Chances are he probably would have lost the game, but at least he was entertaining to watch on the sideline. Brian Kelly is like an old dog about to be put out to pasture. He just looks sad on the sideline. He gets no emotion to him. And his coaching decisions are so Les Miles-esque. Just the clock management on this guy was horrendous yesterday. With 2 minutes left, they muff the punt, and Florida State takes over on like the 10-yard line. At that point, you have to let them score the very first play so that you have an inkling of a shot to march down the field really quick, score a touchdown, and then kick the onside kick. You cannot bank on a turnover like that on the goal line, because what he was about to let happen was let them run 4 plays, run the entire clock down to like 30 seconds, and then score a touchdown or kick a field goal to make it a 2-score game. You can't do that. It's going to be 2 scores either way. At least they're getting a field goal. Now, Mike Norvell called a stupid pitch play, but you cannot bank on that. As a head coach, you have to assume that the guy on the other sideline is the smartest coach ever. You have to assume that he's not going to call a stupid pitch play right there, and he shouldn't have. But you got lucky. But then, all offseason, you guys apparently did not practice any special teams at all, because you had 2 muffed punts and 2 blocked field goals, the last of which being a PAT that would have sent the game to overtime, and you lost off that. So for that, Brian Kelly, do better. You're making the SEC look bad. Just some quick honorable mentions. I wanted to talk about the offense for Ole Miss. The running game looked amazing. Zach Evans was great. He was as advertised, but Jackson Dart is not the answer there. He passed for 150 yards, threw a bad pick in the end zone. Just not an overall great showing from him. Expected more out of Jackson Dart. Sticking to the offensive side of the ball, another honorable mention is Texas A&M's offense. It was inept as well against Sam Houston State. Just absolute garbage. Didn't really get it going until well after halftime. And finally, Vandy's defense versus Elon. So much promise from Vandy after their win over Hawaii, but they come back home versus Elon, and their defense was just letting everything through. Mike Wright had a big day, scored 6 touchdowns. Really love to see that, but not going to win a lot of games if your defense is giving up 31 to Elon. So, Commodore defense, anchor down, do better. And that's going to be all for today. Please make sure to like and subscribe and share this channel on all major platforms. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.